We've certainly been waiting long enough. Duke football now 1 week away from the start of the 2025 season. Let's go.
Hi, everybody. Dick Vitale. Hey, make sure you listen, man, to Locked On Blue Devils with J.J. Jackson. He's awesome, baby.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is J.J. Jackson. Today is Wednesday, August 21st, 2025. Locked On Blue Devils is your one-stop shop where we discuss everything going on inside the life of Duke athletics. On today's show, we're going to talk about Duke football 1 week away from kickoff. How awesome is that? We'll discuss with our pal Conor O'Neill from Devils Illustrated. We'll also get into some of the biggest remaining questions for Duke ahead of their season opener against Elon. All of that and more coming up here on today's show. If you have not done so already, please be sure to follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Be sure to leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Also, each and every day, be sure to watch us on YouTube. Like this video, share it with your friends, continue to spread the word about Locked On Blue Devils as we are getting so close to 4,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I can't wait to celebrate that milestone with all of you guys. So without further ado, Conor O'Neill here with us on today's show. And Conor, here we are, man, 1 week away, 7 days. It feels so close for the Duke football season to get started.
Yeah, we're there. I mean, we were just talking before coming on. It feels like it is hurtled upon me. I feel like I'm trying to spend all my preseason bullets on stories that I didn't get to in June and July. And now it's like, well, I got to start reading up on Elon. Like I gotta know some things for actual game coverage.
Which is exciting. I mean, it's a good change of pace. Now we'll have the games play out, and to the season we go, because it's year 2 for Manny Diaz. There's tons of excitement around the program. We've been following it throughout the course of the summer. Got a chance to obviously hear Manny Diaz address the college football world at large at ACC kickoff. Now he's seen his team in fall camp for a couple of weeks. What do you think Coach Diaz's mindset is right now as he gets set for year 2? Got to be a little bit easier than anticipating what year 1 would look like at a new school.
I think there is a lot of quiet confidence about where this roster is right now. We talked to Manny earlier in the week, and he told us they didn't have any significant injuries pop up in fall camp. Aside from, you're always going to have some bumps and bruises and some guys who may take it easier in week 1, but nothing substantial other than the Terry Moore injury, which we've already talked about since finding out in the spring that he tore an ACL in the Gator Bowl. So they've gotten everybody to at least to preparing for week 1. Who knows if they're going to lose a guy in the practices before Elon. I think they really like their depth at a lot of positions. That was kind of the main thing. I was looking at this roster in June and July, and you're like, man, the starters are established. Even if they weren't at Duke last year as a starter, they were at other places that started. Like you're bringing in Darian Mensah, you're bringing in 2 receivers that you're really high on with Andrew Anthony and Cooper Barkate, I think is the pronunciation there. You felt really good about, on paper, the video game lineup where you turn off injuries and just send out your best guys. But real football doesn't work like that. You're always going to have injuries. And so I think Duke has spent the last 3 weeks really feeling like they've gotten their depth at a lot of positions to be complementary of their starters, and where they can roll 3rd, 4th, 5th defensive ends into the game and not lose anything after Vincent Anthony Jr. and Wesley Williams come out, where they can throw a freshman linebacker in there like Bradley Gompers and feel like he can also play to the level of a Trey Freeman or a Nick Morris. So, and I think this team is really liking where it is right now.
I mean, look, it's a team that won 9 games a season ago. They went out and spent big in the transfer portal to get the quarterback, and you mentioned all the playmakers that they've got coming back on the defensive side of the ball. Now it's a matter of taking advantage of the schedule that's been put out in front of them. That was a big topic of conversation that we've had all week long. And folks today can listen to our Locked On ACC squad preview where the other ACC hosts join me, and everybody's kind of looking at these over-under win totals from our friends over at FanDuel. And Duke's all of a sudden getting the most action, Connor, 6.5 wins. People look at the schedule and it's like, wait a minute, how in the world is this adding up? Because what it looks like currently, Duke's in a really good spot with the schedule in front of them. And as we mentioned, all the positives that they've got with this team right now.
Yeah, 6.5 is a little low. I try to skew towards not telling people how to spend their money other than to subscribe to my site.
Fair.
Yeah, I like the layout of their schedule. I should say, I like the fact that Duke plays one of the teams that I think is spending the most money in the ACC. I think it's Clemson, it's Miami, and it's SMU. And the only one of those three that Duke plays this year is Clemson. It's a road trip down to Death Valley on November 1st. Like, that's a massive game. But otherwise, Duke doesn't see Miami or SMU, two of the teams that beat them last year. They had 4 losses, and that's half of them right there. And so I think that's a positive. I think the timing of the schedule could have worked out better for Duke. They've got that weird, awkward quirk with the 2 off weeks and a 3-week span in October.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
They've got 2 of the, kind of extreme road trips in the ACC where you've got to go to Syracuse one week and then turn around and go to California the next week. I think it's going to be really good to have that first off week after those 2 trips.
Yeah.
But in terms of the teams on Duke's schedule, like, you jump into the deep end of the pool with Illinois in week 2, and that's a chance for Duke to really put itself on some national radar screens because Illinois is getting all the preseason love as a top 15 team right now. So I like parts of Duke's schedule. I don't like where some of the timing elements play into it, but that's not exactly in Duke's control either.
Yeah, no, you got to play what's given to you, and they'll kind of work through the weird bye week setup like we talked about, and then you've got the tough non-conference tests early. All of a sudden, if Duke finds a way with Elon, Illinois, Tulane to open up the season 3-0, I mean, I think that's very clearly going to be a ranked Duke football team at that point that's getting ready for their first ACC game of the season, hosting NC State. And I don't know that you can ask for much more than that, being a ranked team going into your ACC opener at home.
Yeah, I would honestly even take it a little bit further and say they'll be in the top 20 if that happens.
Okay, yeah.
Of course, everything depends on what everybody else does. That's why I try to tell people when I was an AP voter, it's not just what your team did; it's what the teams that are in front of you do.
Sure.
And if they win, then but you get it. But yeah, I will be really, really impressed if Duke comes through that 2-game swing of Illinois and then at Tulane with 2 wins.
Sure.
Because it looks to me like it's a possible, if you beat Illinois, if you have this, what I would assume is a massive win at home against a preseason darling of some national media people, then you got to go back it up with a road game in what's going to be a really hostile environment. People down in Tulane are going to want some blood on the field when it comes to Darian Mensah. So if they're able to kind of maturely approach that and take both of those games, then this team is going to it will have impressed me for whatever that's worth.
It's going to impress me too, and I'm going to be hopeful all along the way that we've got another really impressive Duke football team. 26 wins over the last 3 years, 3rd most in the ACC. So hopefully that is a trend that could continue. Those are all the positives. Some big questions possibly could be remaining for this Duke football team ahead of the season opener. That is next. Locked On Blue Devils here today, brought to you by our friends at Rugia. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis, maybe even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugi at Ready. Rugi at Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that could take hours, Rugi, its 3-in-1 formula, dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. If the traditional options aren't working, Rugi might be the answer, as over 150,000 men have already made the switch. Head to Rugiet.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege to get 15% off today. That is Rugiet.com/LockedOnCollege, RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege, promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary. With prescription treatment, compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rugiet website for full safety information. Rugiet is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. Okay, Conor O'Neill's hanging out with us on this Thursday. Locked On Blue Devils. Duke plays a Thursday football game this year. 1 week from today to open up the season, they'll take on Elon. We've got a couple of games this weekend, what the world calls week 0 in the college football world, and then Duke one of the first to get action going on Thursday to truly open up week 1. Biggest questions remaining for Duke ahead of the start of the season. Where do we start here, Connor?
I think it's natural, and it's not necessarily a concern. It's not a question of concern I have. It's just more of a curiosity at this point. But I want to see Darian Mensah in games.
Yeah.
He has checked every single box that you can as a highly sought after and hyped up transfer quarterback. I mean, I've maybe spent more time talking to Darian in the last month or so than I did all year with Malik Murphy last year. I have such a better feeling of who Darian is, kind of how he conducts himself, how he's earned the respect of his teammates. But now it's you've got to see it on the field. I'm not expecting him to go out there and complete 8 of 21 for 130 yards and 2 picks against Elon. But we just, there comes a point where all the talking is just talk, and you actually have to see it go out and see what it looks like when it's actually game time.
I think that is a big question. I can't wait to see what he looks like. So much of the season projections and what to expect fully rely on him playing well at that quarterback position and stepping up in competition. You just can't simulate it really until you get into those game-like scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, he has not been hit. I mean, that's also
that's
the
a great point. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of
take a shot or two and let's see how you're feeling.
I kind of went through this 2 years ago. Like, Wake Forest thought they had the heir apparent to Sam Hartman in Mitch Griffiths, and they put him out there in games, and he was a completely different player than he was in practices. And part of that was because he didn't have his timing, because quarterbacks are never live in preseason practices. They're never live in any practice, for that matter. So it's just kind of in the back of my mind. I'm not saying Darian Mensah is going to be Mitch Griffiths, but I'm just saying, like, it's one of those factors where you can know everything about a quarterback, except you can't know how they'll react to being hit, how they'll react to the timing and the speed of, okay, I'm not blown dead when a defender gets close enough to me to cough on me, or gets 2 hands on my at Duke, it's a red jersey that the quarterbacks wear. You just have to see how they handle contact.
Yeah, and we'll find out. I mean, Elon's going to be coming after him the next week. Illinois, as we mentioned, top 15 opponent for Duke. These teams are going to know, hey, if we hit Darian, we'll see if we can make some things happen. Another question remaining is just offensively the success of the rushing attack for Duke, who ranked second to last, next to last in the ACC, only ahead of Florida State a year ago. Jaquez Moore is back. it's going to kind of be Peyton Jones, Nate Shepard, some of the other guys looking to carry the rock for the Blue Devils. But how well do they run the football this year? That's a big question I'm looking to figure out, Connor.
Yeah, that's kind of, the best way to take pressure off of your transfer quarterback that everybody expects these great things from is to be able to rip off, 6 yards on 1st and 10. So give them a 2nd and 4. It's a lot easier to manage than a 2nd and 10, 2nd and 12. That's a little football for dummies, but it's valid. Duke was atrocious running the ball in the second half of last season, and they were so reliant on their passing game. And they desperately want to be better in the running game. They think they're going to be better in the running game. It was to the point where earlier this fall camp, Manny Diaz told us, let's just hit some singles. A 4-yard run on 1st down is a good play. And Duke didn't even have many of those last year. So hit some singles. It'd be nice. He also worked in. It'd be nice to get some doubles and triples. I mean, he's not even asking for homers.
Right.
He just wants guys to round first a time or two. So in football terms, that's getting to the second level. That's turning, a 4-yard run into a 12-yard run. That's breaking a linebacker tackle and getting into the second level. And then we'll see what happens from there. I mean, Jaquez Moore, the last time he was healthy, averaged 5.8 yards a carry. And was part of a 2-headed monster with Jordan Waters, and really a 3-headed monster when you consider how good of a rusher Riley Leonard was at the quarterback position. That was 2 seasons ago. I think Peyton Jones is the breakout candidate every year now, going into his junior year. So I think he's capable of being a home run hitting running back. And then we heard Nate Shepard's name throughout camp as an early standout freshman. Anderson Castle is going to help them in short yardage situations. Travis Bates is back at running back after he played safety last year. So they've got some options. It's also going to help having an offensive line that returns 4 starters. I mean, that's going to be your engine for your running game all the time. And like we've talked about earlier, I mean, Darian Mensah is not a statue like Malik Murphy was in the pocket. Darian's not going to be putting up Michael Vick numbers back there, but he's going to be running. That threat is going to be there, and if he's given the opportunity, he'll burn a defense with his legs. So Duke should be able to run the ball better. We'll see. Like, I think if memory serves correct, they did not run the ball well against Elon last year. So this is kind of a nice little reminder and first test going into this season.
Yeah, it's not too often that you get the very first game of the season against the very same opponent, but that's going to be the case again. Duke winning last year's opener 26-3. We'll see how they fare this time around against Elon to open up this 2025 season. Biggest remaining questions for Duke football. One more that I've kind of got here is just what's the state of the special teams? We've talked offense, we've talked defense in terms of your special teams unit for Duke. You look back a season ago, Todd Polino ends the year 15 of 20 on field goal attempts, good for 75%, nearly perfect in PATs as well. Obviously, you think of the SMU game and a couple of kicks that Duke would love to have back, and all of a sudden you've won double-digit games if those kind of reverse and that sort of thing. Throughout the offseason, dude, more and more of these football schools, NFL teams, everybody are investing in the skinnier field goal posts for their kickers to get workouts in to try and nail it down the middle, right? That's become so popular. But then now we're back to regulation. Now you've got the full front actually trying to block this thing. And you never know until this gets started. And I know punting is a big part of the special teams equation as well.
Yeah, I think Duke is really comfortable with where Todd Polino is. They loved what Cade Reynoldson did coming in from Australia last year as the freshman punter. I think the biggest thing with special teams that Duke is talking about right now is the quality depth they've developed, like having multiple safeties they feel good about, having, your special teams coverage units. Usually those positions come from like the hybrid positions. So safeties, tight ends, linebackers, maybe a receiver or two, but those kind of bigger bodies that can also move quickly. And Duke feels good about their depth at tight end and linebacker and safe, and they're getting some freshman safeties that they weren't necessarily thinking were going to be contributors early, who have stepped up, Mekhi Jones and Andrew Pellicciata. So they're encouraged by those. I mean, I've gone back and forth with this a lot. The SMU game, I understand that you look at it and Todd Polino missed 3 kicks. He really missed one that was his fault.
Yeah.
I think he hooked one. I can't remember if it was the PAT or one of the short field goals. One of the other misses was a bad operation. I can't remember if it was a bad snap or a bad hold, but one of those two things was off, it's like having one mechanical error in your golf swing. It can throw the whole thing off and make you hit it 40 yards into the woods. And then the blocked kick at the end of regulation, I don't know what Todd's supposed to do when a defensive lineman just leapfrogs the offensive line. It was a legal play. It was an incredible play. You would hope that a blocker would, get up or get in front of him on his way through, but I don't think that was Todd's fault.
It wasn't. And, but still, it's you look at wins and losses and big plays and whatnot. Special teams was obviously an area that Duke could have improved on that night and maybe felt a little bit better about their chances, and also not turn the football over a million times like they did in that one. But that's last year. This is now. Those are some of the big questions that we've certainly got remaining for this Duke squad ahead of the new football season. On the other side, I do want to talk about some basketball today. We'll get some basketball conversations. What's going on with Jon Scheyer right now as Duke still looks for their first new commit in the recruiting class, and so much more. It's Locked On Blue Devils. Will continue in a moment. Our show today is brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks, the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Preseason already heating up, and college football isn't far behind. Whether you've got your eye on big-name quarterbacks or breakout running backs, Prize Picks makes it easy to get in the game. All right, you look at Prize Picks matchups, and all you're doing, it's simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. The flex play option is a total game changer. Even when one of your picks misses, you still doubled my money, and it's a great move to make there. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks, run your game, a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. Our show today also brought to you by Open Phone, one of the new sponsors here on the network. If you're running a business, every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you needed a service. If the first person didn't answer, did you wait? Probably not. You moved on. You call the next person. That's why you need Open Phone, so you never miss an opportunity to connect with customers. Open Phone is the #1 business phone system designed to streamline and scale your customer communications in business. If you juggle 2 phones just for business and personal calls to keep them separate, Open Phone has solved this instantly. Your whole team can share one number and respond to customers like a shared inbox. There's no more questioning. Who's handling this? Is it mine? Is it his? What's going on here? See why over 60,000 businesses trust Open Phone. They're offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/lockedoncollege. That's openphone.com/lockedoncollege. They'll even port over your existing numbers for free. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers, a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. All right, final segment today of the program. We've got Conor O'Neill here from Devils Illustrated. We talk football, 1 week away from the football season, which means we're 1 week closer to the start of Duke basketball getting up and running. We saw the kind of basketball portion of their summer schedule come to a big conclusion with the open practice for fans. Now a little bit of time off, and then Duke will come back a little bit later in the fall and really ramp up in preseason mode for a big basketball season coming up in year 4 of the Jon Scheyer era.
Yeah. Like you said, they're in a bit of a holding pattern right now, both with where the season is and with recruiting.
Yeah.
A lot of people waiting for the first dominoes to fall with the 26 class. And yeah, we're left with social media highlights and memories of that open practice and what we saw from the Isaiah Evans buzzer beater to Pat Gongba being, gosh, such a skilled passer for a 6'10" guy.
Right.
And a lot of other things from that night.
Right. So now you said recruiting, and obviously Duke has had the number one recruiting class for who knows how many years at this point, and it's what they pride themselves on. There's always been conversation the last couple of years that Jon Scheyer and his staff want to pivot to more of a smaller class and let's get transfer portal guys. And it feels like every year, you say that and then you find out the best players in the country want to come play for your school. That's pretty cool when that happens. And so then you open up and you get larger recruiting classes that come in from Jordan Smith Jr., Brandon McCoy Jr., Darren Ripley is climbing the rankings. He's got an official visit scheduled. Gooseby, Bryson, there are so many names, so many guys that now have official visits. Is it truly just waiting to see how these visits go at this point?
It's a little bit of that. This is not a very good recruiting class, for lack of a better way of putting it. It kind of reminds me of, I think it was the class of 23. Duke had the number one class, but Jared McCain was the only one and done. They only have one player left from that roster, and Caleb Foster. Two guys left after 1 year with Sean Stewart and TJ Power. I don't know that that Duke's class is going to be the exact same as that one, but this is a step down, especially considering where we've been, right? Like the Cooper Flagg class, this year's class with three bona fide, like we know that three freshmen are pretty much going to be 1, 2, 3 in the NBA draft next summer with Cam Boozer, AJ DeBonsa, and Darren Peterson at Kansas. What order, who knows? It's too early to tell on that. But this 26 class does not have that. So I look at it as, if there's ever going to be a year that Duke brings in like a bona fide star through the transfer portal, doesn't try to fit a niche guy in there, this is going to be it. Like, this is the one where if you bring in an impact player to join next season's roster, it's probably going to be a transfer. It's probably not going to be somebody from this freshman class. Now maybe that changes. Maybe somebody blows up. Bryson Howard, if he keeps climbing, I mean, it feels like less than a year ago, he was ranked like 82nd or something like that. Now he's a top 20 kid. If he continues on his ascension, then he might be that guy. Jordan Smith Jr. has been coming for years. It's felt like, I mean, the Duke has the PVI pipeline, and I'm kind of operating under the assumption that he is a Duke lean until proven otherwise. But this class is different. And that's one of the things I've kind of had to learn in the recruiting coverage is not every class is the same. Not every class has the top end talent. And I think this is one of those years.
And then you got to pivot and adjust accordingly. I mean, you want to focus on the transfer portal guys and, but you also want to get these commitments as you can. So as the fall goes on, it's the best time to have these official visit weekends over the course of football season. And then when basketball gets in, you're focused obviously on your team and building your class at large as much as you can. But just because you get a letter of intent doesn't mean you're going to see that guy on campus. We just saw this play out with Shelton Henderson, who Duke felt really great about. And then certain things happen and you get your release and you're out the door heading the next way. So it's just, the instant satisfaction. I want to be instantly satisfied. And you got to wait a little bit for that, unfortunately, these days in the recruiting world, it feels. Yeah,
there's just so much marinating that has to go on. Like it's really like in past years, I don't think the phrase has had as much validity as it now has, where coaches will tell you, we just want to get these guys on campus. Like they just can't wait to actually get them through the doors. I think Ohio State just lost a guy to Rutgers who's joining Rutgers for this season. August 21st.
Right.
I mean, you just want to get the guys to you and have them. And then you can start really feeling good about where they are.
Right. No kidding. Instant gratification. That's what I was looking for there. Not everybody's perfect, people. I apologize, but we get there finally. Connor, always love having you come on the show here, man. 1 week away from football. Plenty of time for people to tap into Devils Illustrated. Tell us about it. How can people get involved and support you?
Oh my God. There's a lot of coverage and content flowing up at Devils Illustrated on 3.com/sites/Devils-Illustrated, and then another /. Head over there and check it out. I mean, it's a great time of the year to jump in. If you sign up for $1 for a week, I think you get a year free to The Athletic. And I really encourage people to take advantage of that. If you sign up, if you don't like the coverage, then hop out after a week. If you do, stay and enjoy it and get involved in the discussion.
No doubt. Connor, good to see you, pal. We'll do this again soon, okay?
Thanks, JJ.
All right, Conor O'Neill from Devils Illustrated joining us here on today's show. That's going to do it for our Thursday episode of Locked On Blue Devils. So close to Duke football season. Can't wait for that. Can't wait for some more Duke basketball news to give you guys as well. Thank you for your support. Again, we are so close to 4,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I can't wait to celebrate that milestone with all of you everydayers out there. Leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Any questions that you've got for Mailbag Monday, send them over to us, lockedonbluedevils@gmail.com or on X at @LO_Blue Devils. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you again soon. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.